On today's episode of Marketing Machines and Mischief, Maxwell House is coming for your apartment, Cracker Barrel takes its next obvious rebrand step, and Columbia is the latest brand to give up and go unhinged. Welcome to your big marketing show. My name is Matthew Newell.
And I'm Chris Stone, and we bring you everything a day 1 or day 10,000 marketer needs to be their best. Are we ready to go, Newellski?
Absolutely. Here are the headlines from another great week in the best creative industry that pays. Our first headline, Maxwell House briefly becomes Maxwell Apartment. I love this. We have been sitting on, this is a 130 plus year old brand, and we've been sitting on this whole marketing house forever. They partnered with Amazon for a 12-month lease on the same amount of coffee. Very clever. This really reminds people of a brand that's been stagnant for a while. We'll also talk about their push into the Jewish holidays later in the show, but all very interesting. Also, if you had Cracker Barrel fires its ad agency as the next step in consumer backlash against a silly logo, you win. So there's a San Francisco-based ad agency called Profit, and they were kicked to the grease trap this week. As a reminder, both Profit and Cracker Barrel chose a Luxe, L-U-X-E rebrand that backfired over the summer. Oh my goodness, I was actually out of the country when this happened. And even the international headlines were all about this so-called rebrand. So much time and energy invested in this.
I think I was more upset at the uncomfortable Cracker Barrel chairs, ladder back chairs. Like, who sits on those anymore? And I haven't eaten there just because of that. But, you know, try to luxe up your chairs.
That's exactly. Let's get down to brass tacks about customer enjoyment. And lastly, Columbia Sportswear, with no obvious ties to its brand, decides to go unhinged. This is the latest brand that goes unhinged for some crazy reason. This is Duolingo, Ryanair, Wendy's, and Scrub Daddy that for no reason whatsoever, for lack of a strategy, decides to go unhinged. It makes no sense to the brand, but I guess we will just watch and see what happens. Chris, what do you think of that?
I think I was today years old when I heard the word Scrub Daddy. But that is making me unhinged even saying it out loud.
Scrub Daddy is the most, if I'm not mistaken, the most successful Shark Tank product of all time. Isn't that crazy?
It's that smiley-faced sponge scrub thing for your dishes.
Bingo.
Scrub Daddy.
And now I have Scrub Daddy. Did you say you have one?
I have one in my pocket right now, actually. No. All right, Scrub Daddy, it's time for Real Recognize Real, and my Real Recognize Real goes to Venmo for actually understanding that Gen Z doesn't want your banner ads. They actually want to be the ad. First off, amazing work tying in my and Matthew's favorite era of music, 90s era hip-hop, and the killer song The Choice Is Yours by Black Sheep. And of course, instead of you can get with this or you can get with that, it is you can Venmo this or you can Venmo that. You're welcome for that earworm. But here's the setup. Venmo dropped college-branded debit cards for schools like Penn State, Michigan State, and Rutgers. And before you roll your eyes at another co-branded credit card nobody asked for, stick with me because they're actually playing this incredibly well. First, they're not just slapping logos on plastic, calling it marketing. They signed NIL deals. That's name, image, and likeness for you people who don't know what that means, with actual student athletes like Penn State quarterback Drew Aller, who's actually not having a great season, to push these cards. So you've got this guy throwing touchdowns on Saturday, also telling you to swipe his face on a debit card for your game day beer run. That's not sponsorship, that's integration. Second, they're doing these on-campus integrations. Venmo, for example, took over Penn State's campus before they had this big whiteout game that they had. They turned it into Venmo Hall through watch parties, meet and greets, the whole tailgate experience. They didn't interrupt college football culture. They became it. Why does this work? Because Venmo found the overlap between utility and identity. College kids need a debit card anyway. Might as well be the one that screams school pride every time they buy ramen at 2 a.m.
When I was a college kid, I bought ramen at 2 p.m., but I ate it at 2 a.m. I love that, Chris.
It's the best time. You gotta let it marinate. You gotta let that MSG really just kind of soak in.
That's exactly right. All right, for my real recognized reel this week, we're gonna stick with 90s hip hop because you rarely go wrong when you stick with 90s hip hop. PETA, who for decades now has had a great track record of, doing naked celebrities and actually just mainly naked celebrities to highlight that, people should be a little more clear around the ethical treatment of animals. But here we have Masta Killah from none other than the Wu-Tang Clan. Hold on. Wu-Tang. Masta Killah going vegan for PETA. But here's what I love about it. He didn't just pose for the ad. He posed with literal lettuce in his hand and a camo lettuce full suit to support how much he is anti unethical treatment of animals and how he's dedicated to his vegan lifestyle. I have never to the 99th degree seen more dedication to a cause or to a marketing outlet than what Masta Killah decided to do with PETA. And he brings all of the credibility and legacy of Wu-Tang along with him. I love it. I love it so much. And this is nothing but goodness.
I'm throwing up the big W for that. It's just outstanding.
All right, Mr. Stone, before we go, we have to play over under. And this one is a little different from the previous ones. We talked about Maxwell House earlier in the program. What I didn't know is I was researching Maxwell House versus Maxwell Apartment, which is a very clever marketing idea, is that Maxwell House in an ad campaign at some point over the last 130 years decided to insert themselves into the Jewish holiday of Haggadah. So the over under is, and it's been successful. Apparently, even when Obama was president a number of years ago, he celebrated Haggadah, and there was literally Maxwell House coffee there because this campaign is still working. So the over under is what year in Maxwell House's 130 plus year history did they introduce this idea that kind of gained some traction?
Okay, so they've been around for 130 years.
I think 134. Yep,
134 years. And I am going to go with probably early, maybe mid 30s for that.
I need an exact answer here.
Okay, I'm going to go 1933. Over under 1933.
So everyone who's watching this, particularly the Wu-Tang Clan, put in the comments, do you think that the year the marketing campaign was introduced was after or before 1933?
Matthew, do you think in 134 years they're going to do over under on the amount of lettuce leaves that Masta Killah wore on your recognized reel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the answer, yes.
Answer is yes.
So that is all for this week's Marketing Machines and Mischief. Thank you so much, Chris. On a final note, we're going to introduce a very small segment at the end. Little lessons learned. Marketers, don't work for a business whose product you are uncomfortable with. Like, this is all heart. Marketers have a lot of head. Marketers have a lot of heart. This is all about heart. We are creative wizards who can alter people's perceptions and actions. Let's use it for something that we can believe in, or at least that we can live with. All right. Thank you again, Chris. We'll see you next week.